You know, there's a quiet revolution happening right now in higher education. Universities are starting to ditch grading systems that have been around for decades, and they're completely rethinking how to measure student success. So let's get right into it. The Great Grade Shakeup.
Let me start by asking you a question, one that gets to the heart of this whole thing. Do those crazy, high-stakes final exams really truly measure what a student has actually learned? Well, for a growing number of educators, the answer is a big, resounding no.
And that really brings us to the core of the problem, doesn't it? It's our long-standing reliance on a pretty outdated way of testing. So let's break down exactly why it's falling so short in today's world. We're talking about what's called traditional evaluation. And you know this system all too well. The paper-based final, everyone in the same room at the same time, and this intense pressure to just memorize a mountain of facts for one single event. It's really just a snapshot in time. But is that one snapshot actually telling the whole story? I don't think so. And here's the real issue. That traditional approach just isn't enough anymore. It really struggles to measure the things that actually matter in the modern world. You know, critical thinking, problem solving, and all those practical skills that students are going to need for their careers. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There's actually some really good news. A major shift is happening right now, a move toward a new, much more complete way to evaluate students, one that paints a much clearer picture of their whole learning journey. So let me introduce you to modern evaluation. Now, this isn't about one single test. Nope, it's more like a continuous digital conversation. It uses a whole bunch of different tools, quizzes, essays, interactive tasks, you name it, to track a student's progress throughout the entire semester.
This really shows you the two different worlds we're talking about. Over on one side, you've got that rigid, memory-focused traditional model, and on the other, you have this flexible, skills-focused modern approach where you get instant feedback. The difference is, well, it's like night and day.
Okay, now let's really dig into the details here. Just look at feedback speed. We're going from waiting weeks for a grade to getting it instantly. And the data insights? Oh, this is huge. We're moving from getting very little information to using advanced analytics that can actually flag a student who's falling behind before the final exam. Or it can pinpoint exactly which part of a lecture an entire class got confused about. It's a complete game changer. And to really drive this point home, just look at the feedback loop. In the old system, students are waiting weeks for results, right? By then, the chance to learn from their mistakes is long gone. But in this new model, the feedback is immediate, which turns every single assessment into a real-time learning opportunity.
So why is this shift so incredibly important? I mean, it's about so much more than just going digital. This new approach has some seriously profound benefits for students, for the faculty, and for the universities as a whole.
Modern evaluation lets us measure what truly counts, those real-world skills. It makes grading way more fair and transparent, it gives schools the data they need to actually improve their programs, and it keeps students engaged. But most importantly, it prepares them for the workplace, where, let's be honest, performance is a continuous conversation, not one single high-stakes test. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures what this is all about. It's no longer about just stamping a letter grade on a student's forehead. It's about truly understanding what they're capable of and making sure they're ready for whatever comes next. In fact, when you really break it down, there are at least 7 major benefits to this whole modern approach. We are talking about a comprehensive top-to-bottom upgrade to the educational experience. It's everything from improving fairness for students to making large-scale evaluation actually manageable for big schools. So, the big question is, what's making all of this possible? Well, the answer, and this probably won't surprise you, is technology. It's the engine that's driving this entire transformation. To put it simply, without digital platforms, trying to do all this would be pretty much impossible, especially for big universities. Technology is the key that makes this whole new approach both practical and scalable.
And here's a peek under the hood at how that engine actually works. First, these platforms give professors the tools to design all kinds of different assessments. Then, they automate the really tedious parts, like grading and giving feedback. Next, they analyze all the performance data to spot trends. And finally, to keep everything fair, they provide tools for academic integrity, like plagiarism checkers or even AI-powered proctoring. It's the whole shebang.
The impact of this technology is just massive. It leads to greater accuracy because you're reducing human error, you get huge gains in efficiency, and you can easily scale to thousands of students. But most importantly, you get actionable insights. It's like a professor can see a chart that shows them exactly which quiz question tripped up most of the class, so they can clarify it in the very next lecture. That's powerful stuff. So, What does all of this mean for the future? Where are we headed? We're not just watching a change in tools here, we're seeing a fundamental shift in the whole philosophy of education and how we measure learning.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, what we're doing is moving away from the idea of a single, final judgment. Instead, evaluation is becoming this ongoing dialogue, a continuous conversation between the student and the instructor that's all about growth and improvement. And that leaves us with one last, really powerful question to think about. If we totally shift our focus away from just assigning grades and instead start to truly measure growth, what becomes possible? What new doors open up for education, for our students, and for all of us? It's definitely something worth thinking about.